Today we leave Zakopane, where John Paul II used to love to ski. In fact, here's a picture of him skiing in his younger years, camping out here in the mountains, and as a pope looking out over these favorite mountains of his, and later as a pope as an old man walking and hiking. This is all of Poland. Russia and Lithuania over here, Slovakia and other countries, and Germany over here. We started at the very center here in Warsaw, and after seeing all the sights around Warsaw, we drove down all the way to the southern border to Slovakia here, and we stay up in the mountains of Zakopane. Great time. Now we're going up here to Wadowice. That is the birthplace of John Paul II. We're going to see the museum, his baptismal font, learn a lot about his early life. Then Kalwaria, which is the Polish Calvary. Beautiful place. You'll see it in the movies today. And then we're going to move into Krakow, where we're going to spend the next 3 nights. And I'll see him. And we packed that car up with so much contraband of food and medicine and money and Bibles that it was a scary proposition, actually, to smuggle things like that into the communist countries. So we pulled up the day that we were to leave at Checkpoint Charlie to go into East Germany, and they funnel you in. Once you get through the American part, then you get funneled through the East German part, and that is just brutal. And you kind of funnel down into a narrow road, and there's no backing up once you get in there because there's other cars behind you, and your electric fences on both sides of you with these, the insulators for the electric wires, and the soldiers with machine guns and barking police German shepherds walking back and forth, looking at all the people in the cars, barking in the windows, and it was terrifying. And the car in front of us, they stopped it, and they got the people out of the car, and they dismantled that car right in front of us. They took the dashboard out, they took the seats out, they were looking for exactly what we had in our car. And it took them over an hour to take that car apart, and then they put it back together. They didn't find anything, and they let those people go through. And the whole time, our hearts are pounding. There's no backing up at this point. There's no turning back. And I just said over and over, Lord, make us invisible. They called us up. We rolled down the windows. The dogs barked at us. The machine guns were like right in the windows. And then they saw the kids in the back, and they waved us through. And we drove through and said, thank you, Lord.
That the Lord would raise up holy priests. So one day, as I'm fervently praying, the Lord interrupted my prayers and said, why don't you offer to raise up a priest for me? And in those split seconds, I thought, well, I have one son. Do you want him, Lord? And then I thought he wanted me to concede to have a 5th child.
See, for the entire world, Faustina's mission would have far-reaching implications, but it would also meet with much opposition. Accepting it would often come at a high price. Just 3 cells down from where Jaświecki carved the crucifix into the wall was another cell that would contain yet another image of mercy. But this image was alive and appeared in the form of a Franciscan priest who became mercy incarnate for this man, Francis Gajowniczek, an Auschwitz prisoner sentenced to death by starvation. In a single statement, the German dictator Adolf Hitler commanded his army to eradicate every aspect of Polish life, intellectual, religious, and...
So we all walk together, 2 in 1.
Hey, Steve. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve. Hi, back home.
Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry, and there goes Al Krista, racing through Poland. This is the church home parish of John Paul when he was Karol Wojtyła. This is his church. There's a statue now to him. And this was the town square where he lived. This is the town square of Wadowice, where John Paul II was born and raised. Right there is where he lived, on the second floor of that house, and we're going to go in shortly for it's now a museum, to tour that. But first we're going to go into the John Paul II was born Karol Wojtyła. This is where he was baptized as a baby. He was born in 1920. It's a long time ago. This is his home parish. Up there we have Joachim and Anna and Mary and Joseph and Jesus. And then I'm going to be putting in a lot of pictures that I get from around here in the museum. Oh, we're all entering the house of John Paul when he was a boy, Karol Wojtyła, and we're starting our tour of the museum. Look at this. Look at this. I think that's maybe one of the only pictures with his mother before she died. And here we go. We were actually quite surprised when we came in the museum today and saw Al here in one of the pilgrimage processions. What year was that, Al?
It's 19.
I thought this was your. Vemos, Papa.
Sante Romane Ecclesiae Cardinalem Wojtyła.
Yes, I'm coming from a faraway country
Il
first.
paese lontano, anche non so se
But I don't know
vorrei bene spiegarmi la nostra lingua italiana, se mi sbaglio.
Heading back to the bus after a marvelous time here. Goodbye to Wadowice and the birthplace of John Paul II.
That's my high school principal voice, and someone is ignoring me. Not anymore, she's not. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Let us pray together. Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts, which we are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord, amen. St. John Paul, pray for us. Amen.
What in the world you got there?
Oh, so good.
Wadowice. Minced meat with cabbage and
They're almost as good as mine.
almost as good as When Carol Watiwa's mother died, his father brought him here and said to him, "This is now your mother," the weeping Madonna. And John Paul II always considered Mary as part of this image as his mother.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. The Lord be with you. And with your spirit. Brothers and sisters, when I stand, may you celebrate these sacraments, for this is my body, which will be given up for you. Lord, have mercy. Lord, have mercy. Christ, have mercy. Christ, have mercy. Lord, have mercy.
And he got rid of the Pope. Don't need the Pope. I am my own Pope and Council, says Dr. Luther. And they got rid of the altars, and in their place they put podiums or lecterns, and in front of that was a preacher. And now it was a different religion. It wasn't the same religion anymore. It was a different religion. And Janet and I looked at each other and says, how come we're part of this religion? What actually happened is Al's right. The first Christians were Catholics.